Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists of pointless things, where we fly by pointless statue in Booty Bay, because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 are the Pygmy Owls, and the Pygmy Owls are located at the Whispering Bluffs in Val'Sharah. And they're pretty much what you would imagine. They are small owls, and the word pygmy, according to Wikipedia, has its roots in the Greek word pygmeos, which means of the fist, suggesting the small stature of the object in question. Also, the female pygmy owls tend to be bigger than the male pygmy owls. So there you go, some fun real-life pygmy owl facts. But in World of Warcraft, I imagine the pygmy owls are pretty much all the same. They just fly around, and they are part of a quest where these two night elves are like, aren't these little birds just precious? If we don't help them, they're in danger of being wiped out. And the owls of this grove are in grave danger from a murderous vulture known as Gorbeak. Tyrus and I plan to lure the beast down from its lair. We must slay him to restore balance to the forest, but we could use all the help we can get. So then you lure Gorbeak down and you kill him and all the pygmy owls are happy. You even get your own pygmy owl pet for doing this, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, how can you not like pygmy owls? They're just smaller owls. So that's why pygmy owls are number 10. 9. Number 9 are the owls located in Teldrassil, and these are actually called the Strigid Owls, and they are neutral level 5 to 6 owls specifically in Teldrassil. In fact, they're the first tameable owl in the game. And you might remember this quest if you leveled a Night Elf and you had to do Zen's bidding, which is where you bring Zen Foulhoof, 2 Night Saber Fangs, 2 Webwood Spider Silk, and 2 Strigid Owl Feathers. And one interesting fact is in patch 1.3, which is back in March of 2005, they actually increased the drop rate of eggs on these owls. And I imagine that had to be for cooking or something. Maybe people just didn't have enough eggs for their recipes, or it was just really hard to get. I know in Horde, you had Plain Striders, so I imagine they were dropping a lot of eggs, but maybe you didn't really have that for the Night Elf areas, so they just upped the drop rate of eggs on the owls. I don't know. I think that's what it is. But yeah, these are probably nostalgic owls for a lot of people, especially if you leveled a Night Elf. And have another owl fact, which is owls can rotate their necks 270 degrees. While it is a common misconception owls can rotate their heads 360 degrees, they are capable of turning their head 270 degrees in either direction. This flexibility helps them look around since their eyes are fixed in their sockets. So look at that. I was one of the people that thought they could turn their head 360 degrees, but I guess it's just 270, which is still pretty good. And the Strigid Owls are also pretty good. Get it, Owlso? Sorry. That's why they're number 9. 8. Number 8 is Cal, and Cal is an owl that is the companion of Silgrin in Suramar. And if you don't know who Silgrin is, he is a Nightborn spell fencer or swordsman located patrolling the outskirts of Suramar City. And you can even find Silgrin and Cal aboard the Vindicar later in the game on Argus. But yeah, I decided to put Cal here for a few reasons. Number 1 is I think they look cool. They got kind of whitish gray feathers, and they've got these big, I don't even know if those are just eyebrows. They look like eyebrows. They're like some of the biggest eyebrows I've seen. They almost look like horns. And then they got these glowy yellow eyes as well. And then number 2, I think it's cool that Cal is just following him around as he's patrolling, right? Like his owl buddy is just hanging there with him, scouting out. You can even see at this point, he like flies off almost like to scout ahead or something. At times he is kind of clipping through Silgrin, so that's a little weird, but you know, that's just your classic World of Warcraft experience. And I mean, really, there's only a handful of people that have an owl pet in the game, and so that's why I decided to put Cal at number 8. 7. Number 7 is the Charming Courier Mount, and the Charming Courier Mount is an owl mount that kind of has some dragon-esque features to it. It has like some dragon horns and little dragon-type scales, and then it's got a lot of ice blue features, so the actual description says, neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night stays these charming couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds. And I really love this mount. Like, I love the colors, I love the features. I think it's just a cool looking owl, a cool looking mount. It genuinely is really neat. And there's a lot of store mounts where I'm like, you know, it's kind of whatever. But this is one of the mounts that I actually like quite a bit. Also, let's get some more owl facts in here. So owls are covered in extremely soft feathers that provide insulation during cold winter weather. Their feathers allow for silent flight and the ability to strike quietly in pursuit of prey, which includes animals several times heavier than themselves. And speaking of prey, owls swallow their prey whole or in large pieces, but cannot digest fur, teeth, bones, or feathers. These pieces are regurgitated typically once a day in the form of a pellet. Dude, could you imagine the pellets this mount coughs up? Like, it could eat some big animals and it would probably cough up some massive pellets. Either way, that's why the Charming Courier is number 7. 6. Number 6 are the stewards, and the stewards are owl-like beings native to Bastion in the Shadowlands. And even though there were so many things that were terrible in Shadowlands, I think stewards were one of the good things to come out of Shadowlands. Like, who doesn't love these buff owl creatures? In fact, they're supposed to be the servants to all the, what do you call them? Kyrians or whatever, but like, I think I'd rather hang out with the owls. Like, the owls are just cool, they're goofy, they're getting stuff done. Like, look at this, all these owls are just stacked on top of each other trying to help the one at the top water the plants. Like, they're working together, and then all the other Kyrian dudes are just like sitting around like, whatever. Like, they suck. In fact, I think it'd be pretty cool if one of the new allied races at some point ended up being stewards. And sure, it probably makes no sense lore-wise, but neither did the rest of Shadowlands, so who cares? In fact, that makes me think I should do a pointless top 10 races that should be allied races. That would actually be a good video. And then if you're watching this down the line, it might be a thing already, and you could just look it up on YouTube. Wow. Either way, that's why the stewards are number 6. 5. Number 5 is Kwanzu, or Kanzu? I think it's Kwanzu, but they are a Somnow Loa located in the Whirlwing Basin in the Emerald Dream. And there's actually a large variety of Somnows all over the Emerald Dream, and they are notable for their ears, brows of varying shapes, tails of varying lengths, and 2 shapes of antlers. But I decided to go with Kwanzu to represent all the Somnows because she is the Somnow Loa, and she just looks pretty cool. She's got kind of like this bluish purple glow to her. I don't think she's actually glowing, but it feels like she is. And then she's got this crazy wooden crown, or I guess it's a tiara, and then a really cool wooden necklace. I don't know if it's roots or whatever, and it's got like a bunch of little gems and crystals and flowers all over it. Like, she's just styling it up over here. And the way you end up finding her here, Cenarius is like, go seek out the wild gods and allies within the Emerald Dream. And so Kwanzu is one of these, and you have to answer 100 questions from all these owlkin all over, and you answer like 4 of them, and then she shows up and she's like, dude, all right, like, you weren't gonna actually answer all those questions. Like, are you serious? I just assumed that would make you go away. Next time, I'll raise it to 1,000 questions. And so, yeah, I like Kwanzu. I think she's great, and that's why she's number 5. 4. Number 4 is Dorathur, and Dorathur is a large snowy spirit owl that is the companion of Tyrande Whisperwind. And it was actually kind of hard to find Dorathur in the game because I think a lot of Dorathur's appearances are hidden behind either various quests or cutscenes or a bunch of random other stuff, but I was able to find them in Borealis holding this little scroll. And it says here that in most of Dorathur's in-game appearances, she uses a spirit beast owl model, whereas in the Terror of the Darkshore cinematic, she appears as a white horned owl. And they actually added Dorathur back in Cataclysm to help aid Tyrande if the Horde were to raid and attack Darnassus. And so if you go back on Wowhead and even look up some of these old Dorathur comments, people will be like, I'm so glad she finally has someone to make up for the lack of royal guards. Or I guess for just, you know, making up for the fact that Malfurion just stands there being like, I don't know what's going on. It also seems to be a reference from the Warcraft 3 ability for Tyrande where she could summon an owl, and so I guess they just added her an owl back in Cataclysm. Either way, that's why Dorathur is number 4. 3. Number 3 is Hellhoot, and Hellhoot is an owl located in northern Winterspring. And Hellhoot is part of a quest given by Jeb Guthrie, who says, local legend tells of a mighty owl that circles the mountaintops like death on wings. They named her Deathwing. Soon afterwards, they were told that name was already taken, so they settled on a moniker that evoked a similar sense of horror and dread. Hellhoot. Hellhoot can be found atop the mountain to the southwest of our smoking pit. Silence the internal nocturnal, so we can eat her. So I do think that's pretty funny. I actually think the name Hellhoot is pretty cool. However, according to our owl facts, not all owls hoot. In fact, if you just go and look up some owl sounds, they make some insane noises. Like there's one owl that's like, rah, like screaming. It's insane. So go check that out when you're not watching Pointless Top 10. I also like that Hellhoot, who is supposed to be like, you know, fire and brimstone and all this stuff, is just in Winterspring. I thought that's a fun little contrasty thing. But either way, that's why Hellhoot is number 3. 2. Number 2 is Alistros the Verdant Keeper, and Alistros is an immense sky talon who is in charge of the Emerald Dragon Shrine's aerial defenses. And Alistros looks awesome. Like, it is this massive jade owl that's just looking over everything, and apparently a sky talon is a type of owl-like emerald bird associated with the green dragon flight and the Emerald Dream. When Ysera was asked by Neshera the Garden Keeper to aid in the fight against the Scourge and Dragonblight, she misunderstood, instead telling the defenders of the Emerald Dragon Shrine, including the Sky Talons, to treat those not of the green dragon flight as enemies. Which, I don't know how she misunderstood, where they just like, we need you to fight the Scourge, and she's like, okay, so fight everybody, got it. And they're like, no, wait, like what happened? It also appears that Sky Talons are reborn shortly after being killed. And it is said that the wind created by their wings can soothe a troubled mind, which, dude, I could use some of those Jade Owl winds right now. But yeah, I think Sky Talons are cool, and I think Alistros is cool. Just this massive Jade Owl. Like, how could I not put that on the list? So that's why Alistros is number 2. And number 1 is Hooty, and this is a weird one, which is why it's number 1. So Siren is a night elf that wanders around Dalaran with his pet owl, Hooty. During the Purge of Dalaran, he could actually be found with his owl in the underbelly. But here's the thing, I could not find Siren or Hooty at all. I checked Cataclysm Classic, I checked Retail WoW, and they're supposed to be in the pet shop. So for a while, when I'd go in the pet shop, I did see the Stabled Hunter Pet, and I was like, dude, did they rename Hooty to Stabled Hunter Pet? But then whenever I checked in all these versions, they all had Stabled Hunter Pet. So I'm like, okay, so Hooty must be different than Stabled Hunter Pet, even though it looks exactly the same as Stabled Hunter Pet. And in all the pictures online, it looks like Hooty is in this building. But so I'm like, dude, is this Hooty? Did they rename Hooty to Stabled Hunter Pet? But I guess they didn't. Maybe I just couldn't find Siren. Maybe they're on like some timer where they only appear at like 6 p.m. every day. I have no idea. But on top of all this, Siren is actually a reference to a video and song that was made back in like 2008 by a woman and her husband in honor of his pet owl. However, the owl belonged to the husband's character Flick and not to Siren. So hopefully now you can see why I'm confused. But I was like, you know what? This is perfect for Pointless Top 10, and that's why I put it at number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also, if you want to check out more top 10s, you can check out birds, that relates to owls, or you can check out sharks from last year. Also, consider supporting the channel over on patreon.com/Crendor or by becoming a channel member. Okay? Okay. See ya.